Hi, everyone. It's Larissa and Rosie. We're here at Central Office. Um, so we're excited to see you're out there, and the numbers keep jumping. Rosie, you want to say anything?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, so here we are. Welcome. If you could take a minute, make sure you're set up, that you have the webinar window playing, and then click on that the webinar chat. And just check in on the chat. So just say hello and your name. And we're going to get started. There'll be 3 times during the webinar that we'll ask you just to check in on the chat. Again, Rosie's over there, so it's also a live, chat. So if you have questions along the way, she likes to keep busy. So, you can ask any questions there too.
So if you happen to have like a question or a thought, or does it do this, can I do that, please feel free to type it in, and we can keep a discussion going there.
Okay, great. Because we know you can multitask, right? Okay, so we're talking about Google Classroom, and just to give you some background, there was a large Chrome initiative last year where Chromebooks came into the district. You may or may not have Chromebooks at your school, but what happened with that is that every district employee, students, teachers, staff, now have a Google account, whether they know it or not. Even the kindergartners have an account. And we have the Google Apps for Education. So it's a managed Google account. It's a district Google account. You may be asking, okay, how do I get in? So for teachers, it's your ID at rcsd121.org. Or to remember that, you can think of one Chromebook, one device to one student. So that's our goal. So your ID at rcsd121 or 121.org. And then it's your district password. That does sync, so when you change your district password within seconds, it changes your Google account. It doesn't go the other way. So you always want to do any changes to your district account. For students, they log in the same username or email address. Okay, they're full 890, and then the rest is the same. If they have never changed at the beginning of the year, their accounts are reset to their birthday. Okay, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 4-digit year. When a new student arrives in the district, you do have to reset their password, and all teachers can do that. We can put information in the class, but before a new student, you need to reset it to their birthday, okay? So for a lot of you are high school, students are very used to logging in and changing their password, so that's fine. Elementary school, they may still use their birthday. Okay, so what is Google Classroom? Let's take some time, and we're going to look at what it is, what it isn't, and then some different ways to think about Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is a tool to assign and collect work electronically. It's great with organizing assignments and communicating with students. You have the paper trail. They can do it any time of the day because it's web-based. Google Classroom manages a lot of that back-end document sharing, file naming, and we'll show you that with examples coming up. But it does a lot of the work for you, which is really nice. It's easy to use. It's very intuitive. They're really working with education too. Any suggestions? Often there are updates, and every time Rosie and I teach the class, we usually go and look for updates because usually monthly there are updates. So it's really changing in an exciting way. Google Classroom simplifies and automates the workflow of that back and forth. No longer are you taking that flash drive and going from computer to computer to get their work. And that wasn't that long ago. So it's really nice. If this is you, just think you could be doing this on your phone or on your iPad or on your computer. Okay, everything, you can still print out student work too. So if you like that paper, you can do that. What is Google Classroom? It is not a grade book. You can grade assignments, but it is not taking the place of PowerTeacher. It is not a student management system. It's not a robust learning management system like we have in e-learning. You logged in e-learning, that has a lot of features. It's more of a light learning management system. If you think of Moodle or in college, you've used some of those platforms. Those are other learning management systems. It's designed to work along with our existing solutions. So PowerSchool, Parent Connect. Okay. So you have options now using the Google Apps for Education. So the Google Drive, Google Docs, and now Google Classroom. But you can share these files. A student creates a Google Doc or presentation, shares it with the teacher through the Drive. The teacher gets an email and can view the student work, can show it on the smartboard, can print it out. It's really nice. Okay, that's kind of the one way you can use the Drive. We want to show you that now, and then we'll come back and look at what Google Classroom does. And it kind of makes more sense when you see different options that you have. So I'm going to go to a student account, and this is a student when they log into a Chromebook, or they can access this from any PC. They can go right to their Google Drive, and a student then can, from their drive, so kind of their flash drive in the sky, they can click on New and open a Google Doc. So if you have a writing assignment on the giver, a student would open that Google Doc. They have to name the Google Doc. And it's always good that they put their name after they name the document.
Oh, so it's sort of like putting your heading on your paper.
Exactly. And I would still suggest in the page they would do the same thing. I'm not going to put the full heading. And then the student can type their title. And start typing their assignment, okay, their paragraph on the giver. So once a student does this from the Drive, they can share this with their teacher by clicking on that blue share button in the upper right-hand corner. So I'm going to go ahead. This is where, again, we're Google Apps for Education, so they can pull up any teacher. I'm going to type my last name. And when you see an ID at, and then the RCSD one-to-one, that's the one to choose. And when a student clicks send, they're sharing it with their teacher. Okay, so that's one way that you can get, students can create projects, create work, send it to you, and you can access it through your shared with me.
So there might be some people out there right now that are using this option.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually a nice way that then the students really understand the Drive, and teachers too, and then moving into Google Classroom.
Or it's also a nice way to be using it professionally.
Exactly.
Yes.
So your other option is to use Google Classroom. The teacher creates an announcement or assignment. Now you can do a question also. And the students create a new Google Doc within Google Classroom. Okay, they do not have to go to their Drive. And then when they're done, they turn it into their teacher. Okay, and we'll look at Google Classroom in a minute and see that from both the student side to a teacher view. The third option, okay, and one last thing, the teacher can review, grade, can comment, and return it to a student. The third option that you have as a teacher in our district is to use e-learning. So if you there's an online PD, creating your virtual classroom. The teacher creates coursework in e-learning. So you would have your own domain and you could create work for your class. There are a lot of more options for customizing your class. The students get content, assignments, submit work, all through e-learning. We suggest this for more of the upper grades. Google Classroom, we're saying with students grades 3 through 12, and e-learning with students grade 7 through 12. Again, you can use Google Classroom also professionally. So we're going to take a look at the student view, and you don't need to know this now, but just be aware that when you're done with the student view, we will ask you what you notice or wonder about the student view. You can post that in the webinar chat or Q&A. I think it's more of a chat. What do you think, Rosie?
I think once we start talking, we'll be chatting.
Okay.
I think right now they're just really listening and taking in what you're saying.
Okay, so we're going to the student view. So if students are logged in to a Chromebook, they can just click on that home, or from the district, you can see that they have this icon here to go to Google Classroom. They click on that icon. Otherwise, from home, classroom.google.com. And I can see that Joe is in 4 classes, okay? If it's the first time a student logs in, they're gonna see a picture here and they just have to say, I'm a student. And then they will see their classes with a blue invite here. And they can join their classes. So I'm going to go right in. And let's take a look at the stream. So there's 3 tabs across the top. Okay, so let's look what we have. There's a new feature in Google Classroom, and it's a question. We're not going to take much time, but as a teacher, you can ask students or your whole class a question. There are also, and sorry for my scrolling, I'm just going to scroll quick and then get to it. There are announcements. So this is something that doesn't have a due date, that the teacher wants to give you information. So this one is click on the link below, read the interview, answer in your journal. So you're doing this on a separate, they're not submitting through Google Classroom. Any links, open in a new tab, and it brings you right there. Okay, when I come back, you can see that your announcement is still here, okay? I can see that you can leave I'm going to delete this. You can leave a comment. Oops, now I can't leave a comment. Okay, we'll show you that. Sometimes, if your teacher allows it, you can leave a comment right under the announcement. Okay, that's something your teacher can turn on or off, and it's off right now. So I'll show you what that looks like in the teacher view. Okay, so that's an announcement. Now, I'm going to come up so you can see that teachers can attach links. They can attach a YouTube video. They can attach documents. But what we like to do is start simple. So we have an assignment here at the top, and the best thing for a student to do when they see an announcement is to click open to see the full announcement. Okay, so if you could get from the student view, it's really important that they click on open, or they can click on the name of the assignment. Sometimes you have information or files that they might not see otherwise. Here we have the learning targets. I can write in informative text, use precise content-specific vocabulary. Okay, create a document, type your rainforest essay, and then turn in. Okay, as a student, I can do that down here. And this is pretty simple. They go to add, create, and then it's just like in the drive. You see those Google apps. So a document, and look what happens.
This is the magic. It's gonna happen.
We can't hear them out there oohing and eyeing.
I know. But they could write it in. Ooh, ah.
So, oh my gosh, look it. So it created the document. I'm going to click on it and open it. Now I'm in Google Docs. What's really nice is, look, it already put the name on it. Just think how many minutes that saves. The student, it's already named for the student. So student. Okay, so the student can type their essay, and then when they're done, they're going to come up here, and you see now there's that turn in button. So the last thing they have to do is turn in their essay. They don't have to turn it right away. Remember, Google Docs saves as they go, so it's saving their work. If they work on it one day and then the next day come back, work on it, and then turn it in to their teacher. It brings up the assignment, and they can go ahead and turn it in.
Hey, Larissa, we got a wow.
Oh, thank you. Who was that?
Not sure. It was text in, but thank you.
Oh, okay. The teacher does not get a notification. They can see that one student turned it in, but you do, as a teacher, get a notification when a student leaves a comment. I haven't finished. You may have a question about the essay. Okay.
Oh, it came from Valerie.
Okay,
go
thanks.
back.
I'm glad someone's oohing and
I
eyeing.
know.
Okay, so that's the stream. Again, it's like a kind of a Facebook feel to it. The newest assignment is on top, and oh, thank you. And you can see that we numbered our assignments, so it's a little bit easier if things kind of get lost, that you can refer to the number. And while I've been busy talking, Rosie went in, since she is also a teacher here, and we'll show you about that, but I can see that she's a teacher, and she turned on that class comment. So if this is on, students can comment, and you may want them to ask questions here or provide feedback. Now, this is something to think about, that when you're first introducing Google Classroom, the minute your students come in, they're going to be adding comment. What's up? What's up? So you may decide to turn it off from the beginning and then talk about it and turn it on. The student can leave, this is a class comment, so the whole class sees it. So we talked about the stream. There's a couple other things in the stream. When you look on the left, you can view all your assignments. It only shows what's due that week. And students can come in and look at one class or all of their classes and see what they have to do. So it's kind of like their to-do list, their digital to-do list. They can also click over to see what's done, and that's where they can see their grade also. So that is, if they click assignments, and then to come back down, you're going to come here. Okay, so this is the work. One other thing is this class menu. We talked about it before. When they click on here and go up to classes, they're going to see their classes. So I want to show you one other quick thing. What Google Classroom has done, and I'm going to click here to go to Google Drive. For the student, it has created in their Drive, and I'll come back here, a Google Classroom folder. Remember, we were talking about that back-end management and organization. For the student, it has created for every student and teacher a folder. In the folder is their classroom, all of their classes. In each folder are their documents. So it's kind of nice. It's really their portfolio, their work that's saved in their Drive. Okay, so we're in the stream. There's two other tabs. We're going to go through those quickly. This is the classmates. Right now, this mail icon is not turned on. So they cannot, at some point it may be, but it is not turned on. They can't do anything from there. The third tab is about. It will have information about their teachers and just course information. This page does not change, so it's a nice way. This is that name of the class in their Google Drive. They can view their calendar, which is a really nice new feature that came out last month. And this gives them the view of what's due within Google Classroom. And that was on the About tab. Okay, and I see my teacher has some items here. Okay, so I'm going to come out of this. And if you can type one thing you notice or wonder about the student view. Wow, Rosie, we got some good questions. Rosie was just reading some of the questions or comments in the chat. So let's come out of this. And we're still in the student view. Can a student make changes to a document? Good question. I'm going to go back to my stream. Once a student submits something, so right now, Joe, if he goes in here and opens the rainforest essay, which it's actually open, I cannot work on it. Okay, Joe cannot work on it because it changed ownership. It went to the teacher. If Joe wants to, he can unsubmit, make changes, and then resubmit to his teacher. So they can make changes, but they have to unsubmit. And then once they submit it, the ownership changes to the teacher. Okay, that's kind of that back-end management. Someone asked about if students can access from home. We'll talk about this later, but there is an app. So yes, they can, wherever they have internet or access to a smartphone, they can access it from home. And the other question was, can students see the work? No. See, this was a class comment, but when a student submits a file, it's only to their teacher. Okay? So that was a few of the questions. Now we're going to flip over and look at, yes, the teacher side. So before, just to give you something to think about, once we're done with the teacher overview, we'll ask you to post a difference that you notice between the student and the teacher view. Okay, so now I'm as a teacher, and as you can see right up at the top, you can select a theme, and with the newest updates, they added a ton of new pictures. You can also upload your own picture. That really helps for students. You know how they love pictures, but also just to differentiate your class from their other classes. We're in the stream here, and everything starts with this plus button in the lower right. So from here, you can create an announcement, create an assignment, create a question, or reuse a post. So I'm going to go ahead and when you click on an assignment, then you can see this is where you're going to add all of your information, your learning targets, your steps, your due date. And then you can attach files from your computer. You can attach files from your drive. You can attach YouTube video links or links to other websites. If you're a high school teacher and you teach multiple sections, you can click down and assign to all your English sections at one time. On this drop down, this is a really nice feature, is you can save it as a draft. So that's a super nice feature that you can get work ahead of time. If you're co-teaching, you can have someone look over that draft. Once you do assign it to your students, you can always make changes to an assignment just by clicking on those three dots. But if you assign it to 3 sections and now you want to change the date, you do have to go into each section. So right here is where you would edit and change the date, change something, or delete an assignment. What's really nice now, this is a new feature, is you can also move it to the top. So if it's something you want them to look at first thing, you can move it to the top. Okay. So we also have the class code on the left, and the students, like we saw when the work was due, we have that same thing for the teacher, all their assignments, and it will show a list of all of their assignments. Okay, I'm going to come back and go back to the classroom. I'm gonna close this. If this student, there's a comment here that you're not really happy with, you can delete it as a teacher. You can also mute Joe so he cannot make comments. Okay, there's a way that you can mute your whole class too. We wish it was that easy, I know. So we have this assignment here, and we can see that one person has submitted it. So I'm going to go ahead and see what that looks like from the teacher side. So this would be your grading area. You click on it and you'll see who has done it and then the actual files here. So I see Joe has submitted it. If I click on the file, it will open it up. I can read it. I can leave comments. Comment. Please finish. Okay, which is great for editing. You can highlight and leave comments for your students. Your students can then resolve or work on those comments and resubmit. It's great for the editing process. So as a teacher, I look at that, I come back here and I'm going to add a grade. Up at the top, you can choose different points. So you can choose one of their values, ungraded, or you can change it to 4 points if it's a 4-point rubric. Now I'm going to add that grade. I'm going to give Joe a 1. And see how it check marked it? It automatically is checking it, and then you can return it to the student. So remember, the student doesn't have the rights to keep working on it until I return it to them, or they would unsubmit it. So when I'm done, I'm going to return it to the student and return work. And that's how I would grade it, that from the teacher side. Now, the next tab is the Students tab. And on here, remember if you don't want your students to comment, in the beginning you can choose all of your students and you can choose only a teacher can post or comment. Okay, now that the comment area is turned off. What a lot of teachers do is they turn it on when they're looking for comments, or some keep it on all the time. The other thing that is here is this class code. So for high school, probably 5, 6, and up, you can just give your students this code, write it, project it, write it, and they use it one time to join your class. I didn't show that, so I'm just going to flip back. When a student goes to Classroom and they're here to join a class, if the teacher has invited them, they just click on Join. If you give them the code, they're going to enter that here, that plus in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, and this last tab is the About. This is where you can invite co-teachers, okay? There is a limit, but it's a pretty large limit, so you can invite a lot of teachers to be associated with one class. This is another new update at the end of last year, which is great. Again, this is that important name in the Google Drive where it's housing all of the teachers' classes and the student files by assignment. You can, what's nice is this About section doesn't change. It's not like that feed. So you can add materials that you use a lot, links that you use a lot, or information about your class. It could be a textbook link, it could be other information. Okay. So just like the students clicked up here to go home, and clicked on their classes, teachers can too. So to the right of all of these classes, and I know I have a lot of classes, don't let it overwhelm you. You can click here, and if you're done with the class from last year you started, you can always archive it from that classes tab. Okay, so if you post something you notice a difference between the student view and the teacher view. Okay, so we're back. How was that discussion board, Rosie?
I tell you what, the beginning, I didn't know how it was going to be, but I have been busy over here, Larissa.
Excellent.
And it looks like they noticed a lot of things about the teacher side too, compared to the student side. One thing that was noticed is that whenever teachers are grading the papers, there's that comment option, and they like how they can give their students that feedback right there.
Okay, good.
You know, another thing is how teachers have control of what's being done. They like how they can actually see that work immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They like the control feature of the muting. Of course, we like that. Here's a question here. Is there a way to see what students are doing when they're logged in? Is that something that Google Classroom controls?
It kind of, well, there's two parts to that question, and Rosie, you can jump in too.
Yeah.
If the student is on task and in Google Classroom, you can click on their assignment and you will both be logged in. So Joe, this was Joe's student, he's still logged in, and I as the teacher are logged in, and I can bring this up and make a point to the class.
Yeah.
So in that way, yes.
Or if you knew that Joe's student should be actually there doing his work.
Right, and you saw that no work was done. That is, yeah,
Right.
That's a great way. And they love this feature that, I mean, still, teachers or students, that we can collaborate and work on the same document at the same time.
Exactly.
So yes, you can have, it's kind of like Vision in that way, that you could bring something up, but
Right.
not really.
What about the feature changing the value of the points?
So when you open your assignment up here, yes, I changed it to 4, and that was not, so if you had a 9-point rubric, you could change it to whatever you want, which is nice.
Okay. It just looks like so many different people have noticed lots of great things here. And
one thing that when we're talking about when students are in Google Classroom, so they're logged into Chrome on a Chromebook, or they're logged into Chrome, there is, and we talk about this in the class, there is some basic filtering of YouTube. So when they're logged in, they're not able to go to any YouTube, which is a really nice feature this year that is available and we have turned on as a district. They can go to educational. So this sometimes comes up with Google Classroom because you may assign something that turns out to be blocked. And we talk more about that in the online version. So this is kind of an overview, and then the online version is the how-tos, how to. So I'm just going to move ahead.
You know, there is a question here of, has there been any uses of this, like in the professional side of this, besides using it in the classroom?
Actually, a lot of grade levels are posting resources or collaborating through Google Classroom. So yes, definitely.
Okay.
When you post an assignment, we all have lots of Word documents already created. If you attach a Word document from your computer, students cannot type on it, okay? If they have a PDF, they cannot type on it. There's workarounds that we talk about in the intro level, the intermediate level, or we have videos, about converting it to a Google Doc. But for this class, you're welcome to, go above and beyond and do that. But we often suggest just have them create a document, okay? And this would be the next step once you get comfortable with that. But just know that you cannot attach a Word doc and they will not be able to write on it because we're in Google land.
So we're not working in Office, we're working with Google.
Right,
okay.
Right. Okay, so you can attach a Word or doc. They're just going to be able to view it. Okay, and here's an example of that. This is an assignment that we do talk about in the intermediate level. Okay, usually I think it's good to start out where they just have them create a document and then it names it and gets them going. So the app is amazing. Make sure, I know you're all downloading it right now, and I'm actually going onto my phone because I logged on, took a picture of Rosie and I'm going to post it. Download the Google Classroom app. Make sure to download Drive, Slides, Google Docs, all those Google apps, because then you'll be able to, if a student submits something, you can view it in Docs on your phone too. It's becoming more and more robust. Okay, you can't do everything from the app, but you can do a lot.
Because remember, this is Google. They're always updating. Larissa and I are always surprised when we come on here to do a webinar and we're like, oh, a new feature.
I know. Oh, it did work. Okay, so this is from earlier, right before we started. From my phone, I just took a picture and
oh, now you're going to make
sorry.
it big.
Ah, okay, I'll make it go away. So you can post something. You can post a short video. It could be something, angles or vectors that you see. But it's a great way to capture something and post it for your students. You can post from that app, as well as grade and other features. Okay.
But I've had several people asking, how can I get my students involved outside of school?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think smartphone.
Definitely.
Maybe just asking your students, For math, go out and capture these different shapes that you see out in the real world. Go out and if you're talking about a certain type of music in music class or a certain type of activity in PE class, maybe they can capture that with their phones and submit it in Google Classroom.
That's so cool. Okay, just to wrap up, as a quick overview, again, we talked about using Google Drive. Remember, you have options working with the Google Apps. You can use the Drive. This is great for any level. It's good for teachers or students, just teachers that are new and getting started. The student can get started with an oral direction, right? Okay, we're going to create a slide presentation. They can go into their Drive and go new. Google Classroom, which has all those features of naming documents, organizing them in the Drive, and the features that we just talked about. We usually suggest it for grade professionally or grades 3 through 12. One thing, if your students are used to using the Drive, when they come to Google Classroom, they keep going to the Drive and sharing it with you. They don't have to. They should submit it through Google Classroom. So, you know, in the beginning, you have to say, no, submit it through Google Classroom. I don't want you sharing it through the Drive with me. It does it for you. So that was our second, Google Classroom. And then the e-learning, a class in e-learning. And this we usually suggest for grades 7 through 12. There is teacher setup required. If you like some of those advanced features that are available in e-learning, that would be the place to grow into if you choose, or stay with Google Classroom. I think either way is totally fine, whatever works best for you. So we are good to go. Thank you for your time. The one last thing we ask you, if you could post your ticket out the door, just one thing you learned, or you don't have to do both, one question you have. And then you go on your merry way, and we'll see you online in the online component. So the online component is in e-learning, and we're going to have you create a class by Friday. There's some due dates. We'd like to have you create that class by Friday, but you have till next Wednesday to do the work in e-learning. Okay, so go ahead and post. I'm going to stop talking. We'll be monitoring the discussion board till 5. So it's been a pleasure. It was fun. And I think Rosie worked harder than I did, so I like that.
They kept me all busy here. Text, emails,
Good.
discussion board. That's fun.
Everything was buzzing?
Everything was going.
Okay, so just post that, and thanks so much.